Hi, this is Andrew Boyd, creator and host of thediscerningphotographer.com, and today I'm back to talk about backpacking and backpacking photography and the gear that I would take if I was planning and preparing for a backpacking trip. You know, one of the issues that we have as photographers and backpackers is weight, because weight will kill you on a backpacking trip if you end up taking things that you end up not needing. Before I take the pack off and really show you what I would bring for a backpacking trip, I want to talk about this little harness that I've got here. This is a homemade thing which allows me to shoot pictures without having to take the pack off. It's just a couple of little clips, piece of rope, a ring up here and a ring down here, and by doing that I can shoot without having to stop, take the pack off, fool around, you know, get distracted. Usually what will happen is you'll decide it's too much trouble and maybe you won't take that photograph. But by having the camera and one of your favorite lenses available right here at your shoulder, it really does eliminate that as a problem. So I recommend that, that you fix yourself up something like this for that purpose. Now as far as what I'm going to take on a trip, if I'm going on a multi-day trip in which I want to shoot pictures, and the photography is really one of the primary reasons I'm going on the trip. Couple things. I'm going to keep the camera gear protected. I don't like putting my camera gear in these outside pockets. I think you run a risk of running into too many things and damaging your equipment. You're better off in the main bag. I like to keep my gear in the top of the main bag where I can get at it pretty quickly at any stop. And I'll show you what I'm going to bring for an average trip. Well, first of all, here's something that I'm not going to bring. I'm not going to bring a big heavy camera like this. I'm going to be bringing something more like this. Obviously the weight, unless I'm doing wildlife photography where I really need 8 frames a second, this camera is just too heavy. So this is something that won't be going. This will be staying at home. As far as the gear that I will bring, a lightweight camera, something like this here. I've got an 18 to 55 zoom here. It could be a fixed wide angle, that would be okay. The main thing I'm looking for here is to not have a big heavy lens on the wide end of things. If you've got a zoom that doesn't weigh too much, that'll be fine. And then got a little, I like to carry something like this because this is a nice little fanny pack if you're doing some hiking around off away from your campsite. This is nice to have. Macro lens. I do a lot of macro photography when I'm out in a sort of wilderness setting. I tend to see a lot of things up close, and I like having a macro. I'm going to have lots of extra cards, and that's going to be protected in some kind of bag like this. And then I'm going to bring one big heavy item, and that's going to be, this is a 70 to 200 millimeter telephoto zoom. 80 to 200, something like that. I'm going to bring one of these because you just got to have something like this for a lot of those shots you're going to see. And then finally, the last item that I'm probably going to bring, if I have room for it, is some kind of small tripod. This little tripod here is actually surprisingly sturdy. I can set this thing up when you want to shoot those shots right after dark as it's getting to be dusk. You're really not going to be able to handhold that stuff, and you're going to need something that you can use to really sturdy up your whole rig. And I really like this little tripod here. Something like this is a great item to consider bringing as well. A couple of extra fully charged batteries for your camera, and you're pretty much good to go. Till next time, that's Andrew Boyd with thediscerningphotographer.com.